If you knew you were enough, what would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette Birnall.
Hello everybody, it's your sister, your friend, your relationship solutionist, Suzette Birnall, and I am the creator of the Music Math Approach to Dating and Relating, and also the Enough Factor podcast. Welcome. I am always so grateful for every opportunity to share from my heart to yours on a weekly basis. And today I had something on my heart. My husband is out of town and the house is really quiet. And I happened to read a quote while I was surfing Google that really resonated with me. And I just wanted to take some time to unpack it with you a little, okay? It said, the most important day is the day you decide you're good enough for you. It's the day you set yourself free. And this quote is by Brittany Josephina. I also appreciate my podcast listeners. And if you're new to this podcast, I give you a hearty, warm welcome. You're in a wonderful place. I love to share from my heart, and I thank you that obviously something about the topic today resonated with you and caused you to tune in. So without further preliminary, let's launch into unpacking this quote. The most important day is the day you decide you're good enough for you. It's the day you set yourself free. Today I realized that I was no longer afraid of how someone would react to my being forthcoming. And for me, a recovering people pleaser, that's really big. Because you see, this journey has taken me from being the precocious little girl who just spoke whatever was on her mind and whatever she felt, to the 59-year-old woman before you who just received a download from her inner wisdom, her inner knowing that she had crossed a major threshold. Without hesitating to think about how the other person was going to think or react or feel, I just put out there what I was thinking. I asked someone outright if we were all right after a kind of a back and forth text message that left me questioning it. I also reminded someone today how important their presence is in my life, how important they are. And when they are not there, that they are truly missed. Why? Because they matter that much to me and my family. In fact, they are family. They have transcended merely being friends, and they are truly family. This, my friends, is the stuff of vulnerability, at least the kind that is empowering. No one ever told me that being vulnerable was this, that being vulnerable was a strength, until Brené Brown. Here are a few of her quotes that I esteem and that I feel esteem me. She says, staying vulnerable is a risk we have to take if we want to experience connection. She also says courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. And the one that resonates the most is this. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. For the change I became aware of today wasn't a surface change. It wasn't a revved up change. It wasn't an in the moment change. You know, the kind that maybe you psych yourself up to do something and you do it and then you squint wondering what's going to happen as a result. Not that kind of change, but the deep, deep kind. The kind that knows that you have awakened to something so significant that you'll never go back to being the same. The kind of courage she talks about is the courage to show up and let yourself be seen. And today I did that. For you see, when you wonder if you're good enough, that's what you don't do. You don't fully show up. You kinda, sorta show up. You may risk a little bit, but if the response you get makes you feel too pressured, you betray the part of you that took the risk. It's like the person who mutters something, but then changes it from what she really said when the person says, say what? Or what did you say? Showing up isn't passive aggressive like that. It isn't throwing shade at friends, family, and naysayers, knowing that a specific person triggered your politically correct brand of shading. You don't confront him or her about it. Instead, you make a general blanket statement that you can easily wriggle out of if the person says, were you talking about me? Vulnerability is the ability to own your stuff. Yeah, that's what it is. To realize that while the other person may have triggered your discomfort, they aren't the cause. Not at all. It's the realization that the cause is truly your lack of skill in handling those types of relationship difficulties. The cause is an inability to put protective boundaries in place. The cause is, long before this person who triggered us did what they did, someone else did something that made you feel powerless, shamed, belittled. And that is who you are really mad at. And that is who you really are talking to. Ego will show up by your talking about how folks don't support you when you do something, but always want you to support them. But vulnerability, on the other hand, will say, I really liked you and hope that our relationship would have been more reciprocal. I'm disappointed that you are not able to give me what I wanted. You see, that's vulnerable. That is vulnerability because you're owning the real truth behind the shade. You're honoring your soft underbelly. You're honoring your hurt feelings. You're honoring your disappointment. You're putting it out there. And vulnerability isn't throwing off on somebody else. It doesn't make them the culprit. Rather, vulnerability speaks the truth. It says, I missed you. It says, that hurt me. It says, I was hoping for more, but I'm disappointed that I didn't get it. That, my friends, is true vulnerability. When my husband and I went out on our first date, I bragged to my girlfriend that it was so good that I knew he would call me, probably while I was on the phone with her or before I got home. I gushed about the date, the atmosphere, the perfect place, the music, the way he made sure I was cared for while we were waiting for our table, how he went and found a seat for me to sit on while we waited, how all of that meant he was just as excited about me as I was about him. But guess what? The unthinkable happened. He didn't call. In fact, he didn't call for a couple of days. Y'all, my ego was so bruised. It was so bruised that I called him and said that obviously we weren't on the same page. And I even threw up something he told me and said that maybe that was the reason. Now, you might say, girl, you sure did have a lot of balls to say all that. But the truth is, that wasn't ballsy at all. That was a hurt person who didn't know how to be comfortably vulnerable. Well, some weeks passed and I regained my sensibilities. There's nothing that helps you regain your sensibilities like going on other dates and finding out that the other dates paled in comparison to the one that you had with this person. And I realized that perhaps I had overreacted. Well, I called him back and I apologized for being too hasty. I told him that the truth was I really liked him. And when he didn't call as quickly as I expected, I was afraid. I was afraid that if I didn't end things immediately, I would fall into the trap of liking him more than he liked me. Now that was truly vulnerable. And guess what his response was? Can we try again? The rest is history. We're married now, right? But he wasn't automatically cured of the not calling thing. He wasn't. But we began to negotiate terms with one another that worked enough for us to continue to feel comfortable in exploring what this new relationship could be. Understand, I said comfortable, not tolerating, not an act of desperation, not betraying myself because I liked him, but comfortable. Negotiation was something we had to continue to do as our feelings deepened. And it's something that we had to learn, that we still practice today. I realized that I was practicing vulnerability. I realize now that every time I told a friend when something wasn't okay, I was practicing vulnerability. And although I didn't feel it at the time, I didn't feel it for quite some time. Each time I practiced vulnerability, I was building a foundation underneath my feet to support my enoughness. And today, by asking someone if they were okay, and today, by telling someone else that I missed them, I really felt for the first time what had been slowly happening all along. I had shared my voice, realized my value, and broadened my vision of my worthiness. You see, vulnerability has to be an intention and a practice that you are committed to. One that doesn't seem to be very rewarding at first, because at first you feel ashamed that you are causing other people discomfort. And at first you feel guilty for needing what you need, how you need it, and it's causing people discomfort. At first it seems thankless, and you don't feel like anything is really happening. You take one step forward, 3 steps back. You assert yourself, and then you buckle under the pressure. But if you continue to be committed, if you continue to press onward, after a while and by, a light switch inside of you flips on and you become aware that your energy has shifted. That literally your molecular structure in your way of seeing yourself, in your relationships and in your relating has changed. You realize you are different and you're glad. You're really, really glad that you are. For you know that you don't want to go back. Regardless to how someone else feels about you, you are clear that you like this new feeling. You like the person you've become. You like the strides you've made. And pleasing whoever it was you were trying to please is no longer your priority. It's lost its grip on you. And you feel a freedom and a liberation inside that makes it worth risking pissing somebody else off. Well, that's it, y'all. Thank you for listening. And if nobody has told you, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough. Bye.
You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.